Ladies and gentlemen, my name is John Horowitz. Our speaker today is a volunteer. The best way to thank them would be to provide honest and useful feedback with the session evaluation at the conclusion of our session today. Our tech master will drop into the chat towards the end of the session. If you miss it, do not worry. We will follow up with an email at the conclusion of LACE. If you're not speaking, please remember to keep yourself on mute to avoid background noise. We have a fun and interactive session planned today. If you want to see the speaker and make the presentation smaller, drag the speaker window to the left. Thank you, and now let me introduce our speaker. Maurice Domino is an award-winning international speaker, #1 best-selling author, and mentor. In 2018, Maurice received the highest designation from Toastmasters International. He was awarded the Accredited Speaker designation. He became a TEDx speaker at San Diego State University. His clients include Microsoft, United States Navy, Los Angeles Food Bank, along with other corporations and organizations. Maurice believes everyone has $1 million message to share with the world, and he assists people in developing and delivering their message. Please welcome Maurice.
Let's start off with a question. Are you a club officer?
Yes.
An area director?
Yes.
A division director? Is there a district director in the house? Oh my gosh, there she is. Oh my word. Well, every now and then you're asked or volunteered, or in some cases in Toastmasters, voluntold to be a leader, to take a leadership position. Oh, I see you caught that joke. Thank you so much, Ryan. And sometimes we have to elevate our excellence. So how do we go about doing that? How do we go about going in the front and leading from the front? And that's what we're going to talk about today. Today, we're going to talk about win at leadership. My name is Maurice Domino. You heard my intro. That's enough about me. This is about you. In the next 3 hours that we have together, I want to share with you, as Stella, you don't believe it, Stella? That's what you said in your email. Well, in the limited time we have together, I want to share as much information from my background to your background so that we all could be successful. I'm sure you agree with me that Toastmasters is a phenomenal organization. Who would agree with that statement? Anyone? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Oh, yeah, it's going to be an interesting 45 minutes here. So I want to make sure we give back as much as possible. So I'm going to impart as much information to you as we can in the next 45 minutes. But before I go anywhere, as a leader, probably the two most important words we could use, is thank you. I definitely want to thank each and every one of you for being here. You're a part of this LACE program. You have a full schedule. You could decide other breakout sessions, but you're here with me now. So I definitely want to thank you for giving me your most valuable commodity. And ladies and gentlemen, what is our most valuable commodity? Time. That's right. Oh, I like that. Time. Very good. Time. So I want to thank you for that. Also, I want to thank a couple of people here. Stella, let's give Stella a round of applause. She worked hard getting me here. And trust me, to get me anywhere is very difficult to get me with my schedule. All right, traveling around the world with Zoom. And also, I want to also thank, if you don't mind, well, she's over here in my little peanut gallery, your current district director, Julie Murphy, ladies and gentlemen. Unbelievable. Oh, my gosh. So glad to have prestige in the room. So I want to thank you. So I want to set the expectations, what we're going to cover today. We're going to take a look at winning at leadership, whether you're a club officer, area director, division director, even our district director right here. So we're going to take a look at how I see we could win at life. Now, I don't know if they dropped it yet into the chat. Let me check. Oh, not yet. Do me a favor. Grab a blank piece of paper. I'm a big believer in notes. Maybe they'll drop this handout. As you can see, thank you so much, April. I see you. And also, April, don't kid me now, a working pen. All right. So I definitely want you to take notes today. Oh, thank you so much. There it is. Thank you, Stephen. Check out your Zoom chat. Just to let you know, my Zoom chat's over here in case I look over there. So I'll download that. As you can see, I spent a lot of time with my graphic designer designing this handout. So I want to make sure each and every one of you have it, because I'm going to be sharing notes with you with stuff that you already know. But here's the question I need to ask you. Are you doing what you know? And I may share with you a different way to look at something or a different way to process something. So I definitely would like you to take notes. In fact, we will be doing one or two written exercises throughout our session today. So have that piece of paper ready. Now, speaking of having that piece of paper ready, I'm a big believer in lifelong learning. Now, I know that if I just say something, it's like 10% comprehension. I know that if you write a few things down, it goes up to like 50, 60%. But if I have you write, do, and say, and chat, and everything that Zoom affords us, well, that elevates retention up to 90%. And I don't want you to leave our time together forgetting half of this stuff. So I'm going to encourage you to be that lifelong learner, participate. I got my Zoom chat running. I can see my gallery is full view, so raise your hand, whatever it is. We're going to have some fun today. So that's my first question for you. By a show of hands, who's ready to have some fun today? Let me see those hands. Raise your hands. Raise your hand. All right, let's do it now. Now, we're talking about elevating your excellence. I'm talking about leadership. Now, how do we exactly do we lead? If we're asked or if we're out in front, leading our club, leading our areas, leading our division, my gosh, leading the district, how do we go about to win that leadership? Now, in my probably 30 plus years of being led and being a leader, I'm sure you would agree with me, there's so many different formulas, ways of being a leader. First off, we have John C. Maxwell. Any of you ever heard of this book or read this book, the 21 irrefutable, well, easy for you to say, laws of leadership, right? Well, that's 21. Oh my gosh, I got to remember 21 things. Dear Lord, that's just too much. And then being from Los Angeles, right, I got to acknowledge John Wooden. Yeah, definitely John Wooden and his pyramid of leadership. Now, that pyramid has 15 elements, and then it has 12 subsets. Now, if my math is correct, that's about 27 things I got to remember. So I went from 21 to 27. Oh my gosh, I'm going to remember that. Or how about this? Look how easy this one is. This is the Baldrige leadership scale. Just looking at it gets me color confused. There's got to be an easier way. So I want to know now, who would like to have simple and easy when we lead others? All right. Sandra, do you like simple and easy? Miss Jimenez? All right, I see you. All righty, so I want you, oh yeah. So
Yes, I do. Sorry.
There it is.
Yes,
I love it. Yeah, jump on in anytime you guys want to. So I asked myself, how in my 30 years of doing this, how could I lead the best? So I'm going to share with you my thoughts, my formula, my theory on how to win at leadership. Let's keep this real simple. I believe we can remember three things. Once you agree with me, we can remember three things. And it's the WIN, the W-I-N. And quite simply put, it's your who, your identity, your integrity, your integrity, and your network. That's it. Your who, your integrity, and your network. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Let's win at leadership. So, your who. Your who. Quite simply, here's a question I want to ask you. Who are you as a leader? How do you want to be seen? Right? If we're a leader, whether we're leading in Zoom or in person, there's people in front of us and we're leading a group, whether it's our club, our area, our club presidents as area director, our area directors as division directors, I think I said that right, and the whole kit and caboodle for Julie as our district director. Who are you as a leader? Now, I believe, remember I said I'm going to have you participate. I want to raise this retention by up to over 90%. So let's do an exercise. So I want you to do this. I want you to sit up in your chairs. I see you. Sit up in your chairs. Thank you. That's it. Get ready. And all I want you to do is what's known as the who exercise, the you exercise, the you exercise. And that's simply this. All I would like you to do is I want you to point to yourself. Go ahead and point to yourself and hold that position. So go ahead and point to yourself. All right, that's it. Very good, very good. I see you. I'm looking around at my little gallery here. Some of you are writing. Thank you so much. Some of you are scratching your head. That's okay. Very good. Okay, freeze. Don't move your head. Freeze. No, Stella, freeze. Now take a look around the room, around the Zoom room. Do you see where the majority of people are pointing to? Where are they pointing to, the majority of people? Right? To their hearts. No, I see more hearts than anything else. So, right? Now, thank you, April. See, Okay, you can put down your hands. One time I forgot to ask people to put down their hands, and for like 45 minutes, I had people like this. So please put down your hands. That's a little tip, a little presentation tip. If you ask your audience to do anything, please ask them to return to normal. Bet. Who are you? I ask you, who are you? And you pointed to your heart. Now, here's something interesting. I asked you to point to yourself. Now, follow this. Point to yourself. In essence, I asked you to identify yourself. Key word there. Identify yourself. And how do most people identify themselves? Right here, in the heart region. In the heart region. You see, ladies and gentlemen, quite simply, what I just proved to each and every one of you, that we are heart-centered. That we want to be identified. Remember I said, remember that word, identified? We want it to be identified as heart-centered individuals. Now, this is my question for you. If you did this for your club, your area, whoever you're leading, whether it's inside of Toastmaster or outside of Toastmaster, let me ask you this question. Where do you think they would point to themselves? The majority of people point to themselves. If you ask them, point to yourself. The majority would point to their hearts. Now, let me answer this. A lot of people say, what about people that point to their heads? Well, those are our logical people, and it makes sense that Stella pointed to her head. She's very logical based upon all the 2,000 emails I got from her. All right, so logical. But the majority of people point to their hearts, heart-centered. In other words, they want to be seen as a human being. Write that down. All right, my membership, my area directors, fill in the blanks, want to be seen as human beings. So we must be heart-centered leaders. Now, I was thinking about this today. I could give you my definition of heart-centered leader, but is it going to fit your paradigm? Is it going to fit your avatar? So this is what I'd like you to do. I'm going to just give you like 15 seconds. That's all. And I want you to jot down what it means to be that I am a heart-centered leader. So go ahead and write that down. What does that mean? What do you have to do? How do you have to feel? How do you deal with others? So write that down real quickly, right? What do you have to be a heart-centered leader? I want you to use your words, because 9 times out of 10, you will execute your words more than any words I lay upon you. So I'll give you a quick 15 seconds to do that. As a heart-centered leader, what exactly do I need to do? Okay, great. Thank you so much. Now, what I'd like you to do, I know that sometimes there's like a cacophony of noise, but I want you to turn on your microphones and share one word. Who would like to share one word of their definition of being a heart-centered leader? Yes, Patricia, I like raising the hands. I like this. Please unmute yourself.
Okay, a listener.
A listener, very good. John Hartowicz raised his hands digitally. What do you have there, John?
That was what I was going to say too, listening. But I think also you have to consider what people say.
Okay, definitely. Anyone else? Raise their hands. Come on, April, come on. I know you want to say something. Yes, Stella, what do you got?
I have a phrase. I had listener and then
That's
another.
fine. That's great. Phrases, whatever. I got you.
Okay.
Come next.
Meet yourself. Oh, that one. Meet yourself where you are at, or they are at.
Meet them where they're at. Very good. April, what was that?
Stella, I apologize for overspeaking you. It was being on my phone versus this. I said the word connect.
Very good. Julie, I see your hands digitally raised. I'll get one more after Julie.
Empathy, having empathy.
Empathy,
for others.
very good word. And then Sandra, did you have something?
Yes, it was patience.
That patience is a virtue. And then Melissa will be the last, and then we'll get back to it. Melissa, what's your one word or one thing for heart-centered leader? Oh, I thought she had her hand raised. All right, let's continue. So this is the point. If the people that we lead, they want to be recognized as human beings. So what do we have to do? Oh, thank you. Courage and vision. I saw that chat. We have to be that heart-centered leader. So what I'd like you to do is I want you to focus on these words that you use for heart-centered. And the next time you're giving a meeting, attending a meeting, having that leadership position, whether it's inside of Toastmasters or outside of Toastmasters, I want you to lead with those words, right? What you do often becomes a habit. Okay. You know, I love this little definition that I have here. If I may share this with you, let me just. It says, before you can lead others, you must first learn how to lead yourself. And that was the whole exercise. If you know what type of leader, who you are as a leader, then you can move forward. Now, I'm sure that, how many of you have heard of, by a show of hands, Simon Sinek? He's like today's current guru, right? It's for him, it's all about the why. You have to have a strong enough why. Thank you, John. Well, I say this, you can have the strong enough why in the world, but if you're not the who to deliver that why, it will not be heard. So yes, your what, your hows, your why, definitely develop them. But as a leader, since we're out in front, we must develop who are we? Who are we? Okay. Now, let's talk about that. Let's talk about attributes. You wrote down some attributes. Let's take it a step further. Let me help you with this. What I'd like you to do with your piece of paper, find a nice blank space and draw a line right down the middle and a T across it. And I want you to create two headings, best and worst. Best and worst. Make sure to do this right. All righty. So you're going to create two columns. One column is best and one column is worst. And what I'd like you to do, I'm going to give you 2 minutes now, right? This is about lifelong learning, participating. I'm going to give you 1 minute to write down the best qualities of a leader, what you've seen, what you've experienced, what you think needs to be in place, right? And then I'll give you 1 minute to do the worst attributes. Definitely, this is something not to do. Any questions on what I'm asking you to do? So I'm going to take a total of 2 minutes. The first minute, you're going to write down the best, I'm going to write here, best qualities of a leader, and then the worst qualities of a leader, right? Let me put 2 minutes on the clock and begin. Thank you, Justine. Those are great words. Now what I'd like you to do is take one minute and focus on the worst attributes, something you definitely won't want a leader to do or you to do. And thank you very much. You can put down your pens. Thank you so much. And thank you, Derek. I love those, best and worst. Now, as you can imagine, doing a lot of research as a leader, what I've done is they did the Business Commerce of the United States put together and gave a poll to 30,000 employees. Now, remember, I asked leaders this question. What they did is they asked the employees this question, give us attributes of the best and the worst. So this is from 30,000 employees, and this is what they came up with. Take a look at your screen. That's the best. and that's the worst. Now, you're more than welcome to do a screenshot, but I'll make arrangements with Stella that I will provide this slide for you. But I really want you to take a look at this list. Why? Remember, I like simple and easy. In April, if I remember correctly, you like simple and easy too. I love simple and easy. Now watch a simple exercise you could do to be the best leader. Take a look at those words that are best. Do any of them jump out at you? By all means, write them down. Now here's a simple thing to do to be the best leader. Do those words. That's all. When you're meeting with people, be compassionate, be trustworthy, be clear, be easy to talk to, be sensitive. Because when you do these words, how do you think your team will see you as? They will see you as the best. It's as easy as that. And whatever you do, by all means, don't do the worst. That's just as important. My favorite one there, if you take a look, zero in, I love this one. Can you see the one that says greedy, cold, and drunk? My word, what kind of boss is that? Shows up greedy, cold, and drunk. So does everybody understand? Let's make this as easy as possible. To be the best, just emulate, copy these words, right? And I'm going to say this, begin with the words you wrote down. Why? These are the words you're most familiar with. You know exactly what to do to be the best leader, okay? Simply put, that's who you are. You're who. Now let's talk about your integrity, right? We got how you're going to walk, but how are you going to walk the talk, right? I'm sure you all heard that expression, walk the talk. Well, we got the walk of who are we as a leader. Now let's talk about the walk, which is the integrity. What I'd like you to do is on your piece of paper, I would like you to draw a continuum line. Does anybody know what a continuum line looks like? Well, it looks like that's on your screen. Go ahead, draw that double-headed arrow. And let me share with you, quite simply, you could come across your walk, right? How you could be seen as, you could be seen as three different types of leaders. You could be seen as a passive leader, you could be seen as an aggressive leader, and you could be seen as an assertive leader. And please write them on the continuum like that, from left to right, going from passive to assertive to aggressive. Now, because we have limited time, I can't discuss all three of these. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to zero in on being assertive. In fact, I'm going to zero in just on this section of this continuum. In fact, do me a favor, draw the continuum line again and write this down for me. This is to be an assertive leader. This is going to be your walk. You got the talk of who you are. Now let's walk the walk as an assertive leader. And let's make this real easy. It comes down to three types of assertive leaders: a pal, a partner, and police. Now, again, I try to make this as easy as possible. Imagine you're with your best friends, your pals. Now, isn't it true we kind of let them do what they want and we kind of go along with them? We don't negate them. We don't say that's a lousy idea and all that sort of stuff. No. So every now and then with our teams, we must be the pal. We must let them lead. Have them come up with an idea and let them execute. And that doesn't mean you're hands off. You're still the leader in this situation. You still make sure it follows the parameters of Toastmasters or whatever organization you're with, whatever company you're with. But sometimes we have to be a pal and let our team lead. Everybody with me on that? So every now and then, to be that assertive leader, thank you, April, we have to let them lead, okay? Sometimes an idea is presented, or maybe a new way of performing something, like 2 years ago, we had pathways that would be introduced. So sometimes we have to be a partner. In other words, someone introduces the idea, whether it's yourself or your team, and both of you, the team and yourself, executes the directive. Now, unfortunately, I have to say this, and maybe this is a bad word, and it has a negative connotation, but every now and then we must be the police. I'm not saying, it's my way or the highway or you're out, but quite simply put, things have to be done a certain way. I'll give you an example. The best example I have when I was president of my club, I had one member, they said this speech is 5 to 7 minutes. Everybody with me? A 5 to 7 minute speech. But every time they spoke for 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 15, they always went over time. Now, I can't be a pal in that case. I can't be a partner in that case, but to make sure this person follows the parameters of Toastmasters, because there's a reason why it's 5 to 7 minutes, I had to say, no, it's done this way. And of course, gave them an explanation of the reason we do it this way. So does everybody understand? Police is not the aggressive, but every now and then there's certain parameters that our organization, our company's Toastmasters ask us to execute, that it must be done a certain way. And let me tell you something, when you present it in this way, you will gather that respect. Quite simply, it's your integrity. Now let's finish up. Let's finish up with the remaining time we have here. Now let's talk about your network. Your network. Now with your network, if we had more time together, I could share with you that really network is made up of two components. It's made up of your team, right? Because that's your network. So if you're a club officer, it's your membership and your fellow board members. If you're an area director, it's your club presidents and so on. So the idea, I'll just touch upon it. We have a little bit of time. I'll touch upon it a little bit. With Toastmasters, we have the various levels at the club level, area level, division level, and of course, district. Now, I know at Toastmasters, when it comes to our team, what is the most important person? Who's the most important person in the Toastmasters world? Does anybody remember what Toastmasters International says? The most important. What is that?
The member.
That is absolutely correct. You know, it's like that inverted V. Remember, they always show that inverted V, right? So your team, no matter what position you have in Toastmasters, even at work, it is really the individuals that make up the team. You know, anybody, it reminds me of this expression. Have you ever heard the expression, there is no I in team? Anybody heard that by show of hands? There is no I in team. I hate that expression. I hate it. Because, ladies and gentlemen, write this down. The letter I equals the individual. See, your team is nothing but a bunch of I's. So don't tell me there's no I in team. It's nothing but a bunch of I's. The individual. And dealing with the individual, you're going to be that heart-centered person. You're going to be that assertive leader. And the next thing you're going to do, no matter what team you're working with, you're going to communicate. You're going to communicate. And I want to wrap up our time together with this. I know we're talking to Toastmasters, probably half the stuff I say, oh, I know this stuff already. But I'm going to say this, as a leader, are you doing what you know? And I'll be the first to admit that some of these elements I'm going to share with you, sometimes I forget to execute. Now, I love this little expression here, right? It says, you get along and communicate with your team, with your people. Well, I'm just going to focus on the communication thing. Now, I'm going to say something that's really obvious, but I still want you to write it down. I want you to write this down. Communication is my number one skill. Yes, I know you know this, being Toastmaster, we know, but write it down. Communication is my number one skill. In all my research, in all my being led, in all my being a leader, in all my research, every time I look at the quality or what's the skill set we need to have in place as the leader, what's usually number one? Communication. Communication. In fact, our founder, Ralph Smedley, I don't know if you've ever seen this quote before. I love this quote, and I'll share it with Stella to share it with you. Ralph Smedley said this. He believed that building and practicing public speaking skills and other skills would uncover and develop. Ralph Smedley believed that by building and practicing public speaking skills, other skills will be uncovered and developed. Let me correct the way I say that. So let me say it again, because this is important. That first sentence is very important. Ralph Smedley believes that building and practicing public speaking skills, other skills would be uncovered and developed. Now, if you remember the history of Ralph Smedley, the YMCA, the Young Men's Christian Association, he was tasked to make these young men managers. And he was like, okay, what can I possibly practice with these young gentlemen to make them excel, to make sure that they are successful when leading and managing others? And he zeroed in on public speaking. So you better believe it. When everybody says to me, oh, Maurice, Toastmasters is a public speaking organization, I go, no, wrong. This is a leadership organization. And we use public speaking to be a better leader. So that's it. So I'm going to repeat again. In fact, do me a favor, turn off your microphones. I want you to join with me and say it with me. All right. Turn on your microphones. Excuse me. Turn on your microphones. All right. And I want everybody to say it with gusto, as we would say in Italian, with life. What is it? On 1, 2, 3.
Communication is my number one
One
goal.
skill.
Well, one thing's for sure, we're not going to be harmonizing singers, but we're going to be great communicators. Wouldn't you agree? All right. Thank you very much. You can turn off your microphones. Let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at communications. Now, every time I look at communications, I need a little prop here. Excuse me. Every time I talk about communications, I make sure that I have a quarter. Yes, a quarter, right? A 25-cent piece. Why? It's to remind me that communication is made up of 2 elements. How many elements? 2. Now, when I look at my quarter, by chance, does anybody know what president is on our quarter? Anybody?
George Washington.
George Washington.
That's right, Stephen, George Washington. And on the other side, well, this is an old, I make sure I find an old one. It has an eagle, a bald eagle. Well, there it is, verbal and listening. George Washington, first president, first general, a great orator. He said some great things. Probably the best thing he ever said is when they said, we're going to make you king of the United States. What did he say? Don't make me king, make me anything else. We just got rid of a king. So it reminds me of verbal communication, the stuff that comes out of our mouth. On the other side is an eagle. Now, I don't know if you know it, but being a studier of nature, I know when an eagle hunts, it hunts with its eyes and it hunts with its ears. That's why when you see it flying, you see it like going like this. That's my best imitation of an eagle. So it reminds me of verbal and listening. These are the 2 elements. So let's talk about verbal. Now, for me, I love numbers. I love numbers. So go right ahead, write down these 3 numbers right on top of each other, 55, 38, and 7. And I'm sure most of you have seen these numbers in the past. Now, do me a favor. I kind of put the cart before the horse. I want you to label these numbers comprehension. These numbers really represent what? Comprehension. Better yet, remember, this is verbal now. This is words coming out of your mouth going to others. So this is how other people comprehend us. Everybody with me? Because as a leader, wouldn't you agree, you're going to be verbalizing? I don't know if that's a word, but it's a word now. You're going to be verbalizing a lot. So we must understand how they comprehend us. Everybody with me? So this is about their comprehension. And I'm going to say this, if you want to be a great communicator as a leader, wrap your head around these numbers. Please write this down for me. When they comprehend us, their comprehension comes, 58% comes from your body language, 38% comes from your tone of voice, and only 7% comes from the words. So if you look at it, 93% of comprehension comes from not even the words we're saying. It's based upon what people perceive of us and the tonality that we're saying. So the next time you speak, this is my question for you. Is your body language matching the message you want them to receive? Is your tone of voice matching the message that they're receiving? Now, did you hear what I said? Not the words that they're receiving, but the message they're receiving. I'll give you an example. I love you. What kind of message do you think I was sending there? Yes, one of tender endearment. I want to get along with you. Of course not. But how did you comprehend me? 55% from my body language, 38% from my tone of voice, and a mere 7% from my words. Now, I do have to say this, in my research, there's a lot of pushback against these numbers because it seems as if the words really have no meaning. So let me correct that. Remember, this is when you present your words. This is when you're verbalizing. Did everybody write that word down, verbalizing? All right, well, that's my word. Thank you. So this is when you're verbalizing, but yet you have to have the words in place, right? So write this down for me. The message is 100% of your words. Write that down for me. That's key here. 100% of your message is the words. Your message is 100% of the words. So if you're going to present to your club, to your area directors, right, to whoever at work, yes, of course you're going to write out your words. Now, being a professional speaker, speaking around the world, guess what I still do to this day? I still write out my speeches. God forbid if I coach you and you said, Maurice, well, I just wing it. Well, that's a little disrespect to your audience. You got to write down your words. Why? Because your message is 100% of your words. You got to be crystal clear, concise, and coherent with your message. So I definitely recommend writing down your script. But when you present it, that's when these words kick in. Does everybody understand? There's like two worlds going on right now. Your message, 100% of the words. Then when you present your message, 55% is your body language. Thank you, Marcus. 55% is your body language. 30% is your tone of voice. And 7% are your words. Now, it was very interesting when I asked about what's your definition or how can you be seen as a heart-centered leader. I heard twice this word. See, I'm listening to you. I'm listening to you. And that word that I heard was listen. Now, as a leader, to elevate your excellence, this is where I think we falter. Not, for me included. I'll be the first to admit. Every now and then, I'm not a good listener. All right? I am not a good listener. Now, I believe there's a couple of reasons why we do that. Is because, yes, as a leader, you have many things on your agenda that you got to get to. So you may be 2 or 3 steps ahead in the meeting to make sure everything's done. But this is my question for you. If you're in that state of mind, where's your attention? I love what Jim Rohn once said. He said, don't listen. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Don't listen. Here it is. See, I got to listen to my own words. Don't listen with the intention to reply. Most people listen with the intention to reply. So here's my question for you. If you're listening with the intention to reply, where's your focus?
Hi.
Exactly, on yourself, because you're kind of thinking, so are you really listening to them? Instead, listen with the intention to understand. Write that down for me. Listen with the intention to understand. Now, here's the beauty of this. Do you think when somebody walks up to you, do you think you could tell by their body language they're about to ask you a question? Yeah, 55% of comprehension. Do you realize that we speak to each other without even opening our mouths? So the next time when you're in the leadership position and somebody comes up to you, you could tell by their body language they're about to speak to you. You're about to, what do you need to do? You need to listen. Well, here's something simple and easy you could do. Write this down for me. Here's a formula you could do. A simple formula. Remember, I love simple and easy? So the next time somebody comes up to you and they're about to say something, step number 1 is to prepare. What's the word? Prepare. And I think out of all, this is the most difficult. This is where we must listen with the intention to understand. So that means we must get rid of all external distractions. Now, if you're in a Zoom meeting, you could actually turn off people's microphones. That's one thing I love about Zoom. I don't know about you, but absolutely. Julie, I see you're smiling. You love that too. I love that we can turn off people's microphones, and we can do it globally, and then turn on specific people. So we can get rid of external distractions. But the most important distraction we must get rid of is the internal distractions. By chance, does anybody know how many thoughts we have in one day? Does anybody know this number? It's a does anybody know? 60,000 thoughts a day. My gosh, we got a symphony going on up here. We got a cacophony of noise. So we must tame that inner voice. We must prepare ourselves. And the most important part of this is to prepare that inner dialogue. And I would give you this idea. The next time somebody comes up to you and you can tell by their body language, they're going to say something to you, talk to yourself. Anybody here have an internal dialogue? I certainly do. My gosh, my internal dialogue right now is going a mile a minute. So the next time somebody comes up to you, just say, okay, Maurice, prepare yourself. And the best way you can prepare yourself is how? With your eyes, of course. Focus in on that person. Listen to what they have to say. So now we're prepared. The next step we must do, now they're speaking, right? They're speaking to us. We must follow. What that simply means is this: we must let them know that we're listening to them. Now, what do you think is a simple way to let them know that you're listening to them? What can you do to let the other person know that you're listening to? Anybody can take a guess what you could possibly do to let them know that you're listening to them?
Nod your head.
That's right, Patricia. You're a genius. My gosh, how'd you come up with that one?
I'm listening to you.
You're listening to my body language. Definitely nod your head. Also, and look, I do this. I prepare my follow words. Oh, really? You don't say. Oh. And yes, I incorporate that body language. Now, I'm exaggerating now to come across as my little Zoom screen here. But let the speaker know that you're following them. Now, what do most people do in this situation? They give the answer. We're not done yet. And this is why I put an asterisk on this. Now, I said that preparing is tough, following is tough, but guess what? The toughest of them all, yeah, they're all tough, but this is to reflect. And you've heard this before. This is nothing new. Reflect back what you just heard. You know, you could simply say, so Ryan, if I understand you correctly, you said this. Lori, if I could put in my own words, why? Now, so many things are happening with this reflection. Number one is you let them know you just listen to them.
Yes.
And guess what they see you as?
Yes.
A heart-centered leader. Does everybody see that? So many things are happening with this reflection. They see you as a heart-centered leader because, my gosh, Maurice really listened to me. And not only that, it gives you time to formulate an answer, and then you proceed to answer their question. Now, I always like to say this. So, Melissa, if I understand you correctly, this is what you said. Is that correct? I want to make sure I get on the same page because Melissa could have said something. She totally understands her words, but do I live in Melissa's space? No. So I always make sure, is that correct? Now I respond. Now I verbalize and make sure I incorporate the 55, 38, and 7. So there you have it, your network. Simply put, it's your who, it's your integrity, and your network. And when you put it all together, what happens?
Communication.
Oh, no, you better yet, Patricia, you win at leadership. That's one way to elevate your excellence. Thank you so much. Stephen?
Thank you, Maurice. I put the slides in the chat. I'll put them in there again, and you're going to respond with feedback for our speaker. I'll put the link to the feedback in the chat, and I'll turn it back over to our room monitor.
Well, I hope everyone enjoyed it.
Right.
Thank you, Maurice.